13 to 21.
Great start from Seville, who's got a little bit of a march on Nolan. Seville's going to win this. Brilliant race. He even has time to salute.
How will the Jamaicans stack up? The likes of Kishane, Oblique, Nikisha, Tina, Sherika and Lavelle all seeking podium spots.
Really good running on the near side too from Tia Clayton. Tia Clayton takes it there.
And the world will say goodbye to Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce.
Watch for Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce.
She brings the curtain down on her 18-year career. She goes back to where it all started.
And she's going to do it. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce.
Live every moment from the World Athletics Championship from Tokyo, Japan, September 13 to 21 live with a kind of coverage only Nationwide 90 FM provides.
Due to our live broadcast of the World Athletics Championship in Tokyo, Japan, scheduled to run from September 12 to 20, there will be no airing of Nationwide this morning. The early morning news package will resume following the conclusion of the games. Nationwide apologizes for the inconvenience caused.
Welcome to Nationwide's live coverage of the 2025 World Championships in Tokyo, Japan.
Good evening, everyone. It was a brilliant day in Tokyo, Japan. Of course, Jamaica winning its first medals and its first gold medal in the men's 100 meters since, in a global championship, that is, since 2016. This morning was night in Japan. Of course, the morning session that's coming up this morning, and which is night in Jamaica time. Of course, the men's marathon started earlier this evening. And then we'll have the men's hammer throw, the women's pole vault, the women's 3,000 meter steeplechase, the men's hammer throw. And of course, at 9:20 tonight, the women's heats of the 400 meter hurdles, where Jamaica will have two participants. As you may know by now, Rochelle Clayton, the Jamaican champion, had to withdraw from the championships because of an injury. And the alternate, Shanique Walker, was not able to join the team because she did not do the gender test that was required by World Athletics. That's a whole argument altogether, because J3 is claiming that the athletes were set to take the test. However, my own conversation with Shanique Walker said that only certain athletes were told to come and take the test while they were at the NACAC championships in the Bahamas. But that's another story for another time. Let me give you the lineup for the heats where Jamaicans are involved. Of course, this heat one has Savannah Sutherland of Canada, who's run 52.46 this year, one of the fastest women in the world this year. There is Yannick Hayes Smith from the Turks and Caicos Islands as well in heat one. Will be contesting. Of course, Zenny van der Vaart of South Africa is also in the heat, as well as J.D. Moore of China, Emily Newnham of Great Britain, and Louise Maraval of France, as well as Alice Mararo of Italy. In heat number two, Mo Granat of Sweden, Tia Annabelle of Barbados. You would have seen her run at the Racers Grand Prix earlier this year. Fatuma Binta Diallo of Portugal, Daniela Ledeca of Slovakia, Anna Cockrell, one of the medal favorites of the United States, is in that heat, as well as Jamaica's Anjanette Knight, Eileen Dems of Germany, and Grace Claxton of Puerto Rico complete the lineup in heat number two. In heat number three, Sarah Mato of Hungary, Elena Keleti of Germany, Amalie Ewell of Norway, Jasmine Jones of the United States, Pauline Kokut of Belgium, Christina Halonen of Finland, Daniela Fra of Spain, and Emma Zapletadova of Slovakia runs in that heat as well. Ashley Miller is one of the lane 2 contender in heat number 4 that features Jamaica's Sian Shaman running in lane 3. And that heat also involves Delilah Muhammad as well as Gianna Woodruff of Panama, Lena Nielsen of Great Britain, Sarah Carley of Australia, Daniela Rojas Gutierrez of Costa Rica, and Rebecca Sartori of Italy. Of course, this is a tough heat because Sian Shaman takes on the 2019 world champion Delilah Muhammad and Diana Woodruff of Panama. Both women have run faster than Sian Shaman so far this year. Of course, it's the first 4 from each heat that advanced to the semi-final round. Of course, the final heat, which is heat 5, Louis Maraval of France. I gave you that one already. That was heat 5. Where Savannah Sutherland, who is, I think, likely to end up on the podium, and she runs in heat 5. Of course, the opening heat, I should mention, that's one that I missed out. Heat 1, Michelle Smith of the U.S. Virgin Islands. As you remember, she won the Carifta Games here in Jamaica back in 2022, and she won at the Carifta Games again earlier this year, running for the U.S. Virgin Islands. She's a student at the University of Georgia. Ayodami Foloronzo of Italy, also in this heat. Kemi Adokoya of Bahrain, Naomi van der Broek of Belgium, Rogil Joseph of South Africa, Robin Brown of Philippines, Femke Bol, the gold medal favorite of the Netherlands, Anya Jukic of Australia, and Hila Usamaiti of Usamaki of Finland, runs in lane number 9. That's heat number 1 of the women's 400-meter hurdles that gets underway at 9:20 p.m. Jamaica time tonight. Joining me in studio is Olympian Juliet Cuthbert Flynn, she and I are in the studio alone tonight. I can have my way with her tonight. We can do all kinds of things and talk about interesting things. Coach Carr is not here, nor is Raymond Casey Graham, who were with us this morning. Juliet, welcome again. Good to see you again.
Yes,
like you went home and got some rest and...
Of course, freshen up.
Yeah.
Freshen up, have on my Jamaica colors.
Yeah, so I noticed.
Because I think it was a good day for us. I was very happy how we started off with the sprint finals today. We got a gold medal for the men.
Gold and silver.
Well, gold medal for the men in the 100 meters, silver medal for the men in the 100 meters, and silver medal for the women. And we also had a 5th place and a 6th place for the women in the 100 meters. And so I thought it was a good day, the fact that we had, so many Jamaicans making it to the finals. And even though some were not on the medal podium, I think we still did incredibly well. As a small nation, I have to say that I'm beaming with pride. And, we should all be proud of our country, just looking at our athletes doing so well for us from year to year and from each championship to championship where we've never faltered. Yes, sometimes we don't get the amount of medals that we want, but we've always been able to at least hear our national anthem or see one of our athletes on the podium. And so we still have a few more days to go, and I think we will hear the national anthem some more. I know that, we have the 400 meters hurdles coming up. We have Knight and Salmon in this race. And so there will be no Sydney McLaughlin. She opted for the 400 meters to see how she'll fare in that. But it's still going to be an exciting race. You still have Femke Bol in this, and Mohammed, who is, you can call her a veteran now in this race.
She's a veteran. She retires at the end of the season.
Right, a veteran in this race who's actually still doing better. Her best is 51, and she has a PB of 50, a season's best of 52, 58 this season. And so she's still holding her own and doing quite well. Cockrell, we saw her last year, a youngster coming up and really doing, ended up on the medal podium last year, and she has a season best of 51.87 for this year. So it's still going to be a good race, just even without Sydney McLaughlin in this. I think we'll still see an exciting 400-meter hurdles, and I'm looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm. Of course, it's unfortunate that Rochelle Clayton is out and Shanique Walker was unable to replace her. We had a conversation off your couple yesterday about it, and but we'll get more into that. One of the things that I'd like to mention though is that I spare a thought for Julian Alfred. But people were wondering what happened to her today, why she finished third. I posted something on X this morning. What happened to her? She suffered a hamstring strain. She felt some tightness in her hamstring during warm-ups, and suffered a hamstring strain mid-race today. And it's likely that she's also withdrawn from the 200 as well.
And that's unfortunate. Again, she's such an incredible athlete. We watched her last year winning the Olympics in the 100 meters, and really expected. She's finished with University, my alma mater, Longhorn, University of Texas. She finished last year, a really good season for her, and had a good year last year, and we expected great things from her. I expected her to, but anyway, that's how track and field is. 1 year sometimes it's you, and then another year is somebody else. And of course, we saw the upset this year with Wooden and Melissa.
Well, not really an
Jefferson.
upset, but
Well, yeah, because she wasn't on the medal podium in the individual races. She got medals in the relays, and so for her to come on this year, as hot as she did, everybody, she was the favorite going in. The fact that we didn't see a lot of Julian Alfred competing, and then again, I heard that she had suffered an injury, and then you told us that it wasn't so, but it's unfortunate that she's going to be pulling out of the 200 meters. The good thing is it's the end of the season. There are no more races really after that, and the athletes will be able to go home and get their physiotherapy treatment, and she'll be able to get some rest to come back for next year. I think she's definitely one to reckon with for in the next few years. She's young and she's strong, she's fast, and I think she'll come back even stronger next year.
Yep, she will. I know she would probably be very disappointed because I think she told me that she had high expectations for this year because she wanted to add a world title to her Olympic title. Right. But she's only 24 years old, so she has a lot of time ahead of her. She has the world championships she has the ultimate championships next year. She has the world championship in 2027 and the Olympics in 2028. So she'll have a lot of time to find some level of redemption. Because one of the things that's disappointing is that she's been running so well all year, and to get an injury now in the crucial moment of the season when this is what you've been preparing for all year. And we've seen it so far this year with a couple of Jamaicans, Megan Tapper and Rochelle Clayton. You have to empathize with the idea that you spend all year preparing for this moment, and at the worst possible time, you pick up an injury. It's almost like
don't I know it?
Yeah.
He who feels it knows it. Yes, I do understand, because even though these athletes, they're competing throughout the year, it is their life, it is their livelihood. This is how they make a living, and so yes, they have to compete on an annual basis in races in Europe and in the USA and wherever it takes them to make some money. But at the end of the day, you are definitely training. Once you are a pro, once you've finished the collegiate season, you are definitely training for two things: the Olympic Games and the World Championship. And these are every 2 or every 4 years. And so it is, quite depressing, I know, for the athletes to have trained so diligently, put in all the hard work and the dedication and the things that you give up throughout those years, the things you sacrifice, and then at the last minute, an injury, something that you were not really prepared for, happens to you. And so it is, but it comes with the territory. We all know that as athletes, and it's always in the back of our minds as athletes to say, there can be an injury, and it's a matter of how fast do I get over this? What kind of care do I get after the injury so that you can recover faster? And so I'm sure she will have the best of therapy, and to get over this. But it is Rochelle Clayton, we saw where, she suffered that injury earlier this season, and she was not able, it's that severe, she was not able to really pull it off and come back to compete at these games. Megan Tapper just, that one hurts because she didn't she didn't do well last year, and coming back this year and coming back even stronger than before, and running very fast and very consistent, and then to suffer an injury right in the games, so to get an hamstring injury in training, it is absolutely, I can just imagine the worst feeling.
Yep, it's crazy. I mean, you say if it happens before, you can say, okay, fine, you got hurt. But when you're at the moment that you prepared for, and this is when you get hurt, it must sting a little bit extra. William Mitchell is online with us. No, he's not? Okay, I just thought he was. But one of the things that, just to recap for the listeners, I mean, when you look at the medal that oblique, well, that's not the point I wanted to make. The point I actually wanted to make was something that Glenn Mills, I saw an interview with Glenn Mills today, where he says that the first 60 of oblique Seville's race today was the worst he's seen from him. And he still wins gold and runs a big personal best. So imagine if he had run what Glenn Mills believes to be a better first 60, what would he have done?
And I guess that's from the coach's perspective. I don't know. I think he ran a good 60, but then the coach would know better than we do. I think he was right up there with Kishane, and I think that is why he was able to pull away from him, because he was not left. Now, what would be the worst 60 that I've ever seen him run was in the first round, the first round when he sat in the blocks. That's the worst 60 I can say that I would have ever seen him run throughout in this competition. He had to play catch up, and severely he had to really run, and then of course was able to just make it through. But I thought he ran credibly well. I think he got out of the blocks, which is the aim. The starter is a very slow starter in these games, and the good thing is the starter has been consistently our 101, 102 starter. He holds them in the blocks, and so I don't know. Could he have run faster? Maybe the coach would know, because the coach, he's the one training him, looking at the times, looking at the different splits as to what he's doing in a 120, what he's doing in a 250, etc. And so the coach would know where he should be. So I can't say much about what my thoughts are, but I thought he ran a pretty even pace race to pull away from the crowd, from the pack, and to win this one and come home with a gold for us.
All right, so just to remind you that the men's marathon was at 5:30 this evening, which means that it should just about be over. The men's hammer throw, Group A, comes up. It's just started 21 minutes ago. The women's pole vault is currently in progress as well. And coming up later on at about 8:30, the women's 3,000 meter steeplechase. The men's hammer throw, Group B, starts at 8:45, and then of course the women's 400 meter hurdles, where there is Jamaican interest. I don't know if you've been following Anjanette Knight all season, Juliet, but when you look at what she and Shan Saman have done all season, they're pretty decent seasons. But do you think it positions them to contend for medals, considering that you have Savannah Sutherland and you have Femke Ball and you have Anna Cockrell, who are, in my estimation, the medal favorites for this event? Do you think maybe Shan Saman is one of those who can probably, she's run 52.97 last year, but hasn't gotten that close. I think she probably had some injury issues this year, I'm not quite sure. But how do you fancy their chances of, first of all, getting to the final, which is where the money is? Getting to a final is probably the key first step here.
Well, of course, it is the first step there, and I'm sure that is what's on their mind is to get through the rounds. But when you look at Anjanette Knight, she's been consistent. Her season's best is 53. She's run that a couple of times. 53, 67 is her season's best. And so I think, anything can happen. You want to peak. You would have trained. The coaches, they're training you to really peak when it comes to the major championship. Again, persons we saw in the 400 meters where Williams, she was able to actually get a PB in the 400 meter in the first round. And so I think anything is possible. Cockrell, of course, looking at how she competed last season and now with a season best of 51 about I think 87, I believe that she's definitely one to look forward to. Also with Femke Bol, Mohammed, you can't count her out. She's a veteran. Her best 51.58. This year she's run 52 as a season's best. Salmon, her season best has been a 54, so not as close to where her best is, which is a 52. Maybe Knight would be the person to really look at to see if we're looking at a medal contention. But I think what I want to see first and foremost is to watch how these athletes look in the first round. So I'm going to be paying keen attention to what they look like in the first round to see if they have more in the tank to really push it once they are pushed in that semi-final.
The thing that intrigues me about this event, and it doesn't involve the Jamaicans. I remember Femke Bol was the person that was supposed to challenge Sydney McLaughlin in Paris last year. But not only did she not challenge her, she finished third because Anna Cockrell came through for second in 51.8, which was the first time she was breaking the 52-second barrier. Whether or not Femke Bol this year is looking for some kind of revenge against Anna Cockrell because Sydney's not there. She expressed that disappointment I think it was last month, or was it probably in July. But given the fact that Sydney McLaughlin is not in the 400-meter hurdles event this year, you have to wonder whether or not she's now targeting Anna Cockrell to ease that frustration of finishing third last year at the Olympic Games when she was supposed to be challenging Sydney for the gold medal, but that didn't work out. Sydney ran some ridiculous time again, and of course she ended up running 52 after running 51 for a couple of meets in the season. Then maybe mistimed her run, or the race plan was not right, ended up third, a disappointing third. Femke is, as we know, an extraordinary athlete. She runs the 4x4s, she runs the mixed relays, she runs the 400-meter hurdles for Netherlands, and of course a world indoor champion as well. Probably looking for some redemption this year. Well,
I think, you mentioned a few things there to unpack, but, for me, I thought Femke Bol was overworked last year. That's just my feeling. We saw her in the mixed relays. I didn't think she should have competed in that. And now she's going to get a chance to really focus on just that. We saw her again running that, but of course you have days in between to compete. But again, her season's best of 51.91 is telling us the story that she is definitely the one to look at. Yes, Anna Cockrell was able to outrun her last year and run a 51.8, but I think 51.8 for this season. But I do believe that the person to really watch will be those two. It'll be the race will be between herself and Cockrell. And, any number can play with the other athletes that'll be in the race. But I don't know. I mean, redemption, yes, because you did get beat out when everybody thought you were going to be the one to get that second position after Sydney. I didn't think she thought she could beat Sydney. I think she was just unbeatable. And so, yeah, I think everybody will be looking at her, and I think she's looking to really redeem herself and get on that podium at the top.
All right. Some developing information here. Minister Olivia Grange has sent her congratulations to Oblique Seville and Kishane Thompson. I wonder if this voice note can be played on here. Hold on.
Congratulations to Oblique Seville, Kishane Thompson, and Tina Clayton. I'm so elated, I'm so excited and happy about their performance. Oblique Seville hit his stride magnificently for himself and Jamaica when he won the 100-meter sprint at the World Championships in Tokyo today. Oblique certainly delivered on his promise, making us all proud of him. I also want to congratulate Kishane Thompson, who in taking the silver made it a Jamaica 1-2, bringing more joy for us. I also want to make special mention and congratulate Tina Clayton, who won the silver medal in the women's 100-meter, becoming the youngest to win a medal in that particular race category at the World Championships. The entire Jamaica team made us proud, and Jamaica is cheering for them. Jamaica is proud of their performances, and so far we are proud that they have put us in second place on the medal table at the championships at this time.
She also had a message for Shericka Jackson.
I must single out Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, who is Jamaica's most decorated female athlete. She has earned 3 Olympic gold medals, including the first by a Caribbean woman in the 100-meter sprint, a staggering 10 World Championships with a record 5 wins in the 100 meters and 7 national championships. I want her to know that the government of Jamaica will celebrate her 2 decades of excellence on the track. She remains our beloved pocket rocket. I also want to say to Shericka, we know you'll bounce back even stronger in the 200 meter. Your journey continues. All our athletes, I want you all to know that you make us proud, and I wish you all continued success in the championships and look forward to welcoming you back home very soon.
Yeah, so that was Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sports, Olivia Grange, congratulating Jamaica's medalists and finalists today. Of course, you know, over the years, the government has done, a lot of stuff for athletes, but there are a couple of things that I'd like for them to still do. But one of them, and this is something I'm going to put to you, Julia, because you're a part of government.
I don't even know what that means. What do you mean by
that? Why we don't have a statue for Deanne Hemmings?
I can't answer that question.
She's the first Jamaican to win a gold medal at Olympic Games.
I can't answer that question.
I know.
I mean, why don't they have a statue for me?
There you go. Yeah, but for real.
No, but yeah, for real. A lot of people, I think, ask that question because she was the first gold medalist for Jamaica. You know, I can deduce it to the fact that it wasn't a sprint. It wasn't a 100 meter.
Yeah.
It wasn't a so-called premier event. And maybe that is the reason. But, you know, her longevity in the sport was also admirable. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just getting that gold medal. She lasted over a number of years for us as a country and did quite well for us, raising the flag high. I can't answer the question, however, but I'm going to just deduce it to that it was not the premier 100 100 meters.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot because it's something that
you can always put me on the spot.
Yeah, the thing about it is that when you look at the statues at Independence
people do
Park,
ask that question.
It's Arthur Wint who won the first gold medal for Jamaica.
Right.
You have Donald Quarry, who won Jamaica's first 200-meter gold medal at the Olympics. You have Asafa Powell, who many people say is Jamaica's first 100-meter world record holder. You have Shelley-Ann Fraser-Price, first Olympic.
You have Merle Naughty.
You have Merle Naughty, first Jamaican medalist at the
And you have
Olympic
Veronica
Games.
Campbell
And you have Veronica Campbell-Brown, first world championship gold medal. So a lot of firsts. So, I think even if it's a bust, it doesn't necessarily have to be, one of those big statues. But a bust to recognize the accomplishment of Dion Hemmings, McCarthy. I mean, it's something that has been in Macraw for years that I think, her achievements should not be overlooked in that way. But okay, so let's move on. So I mentioned before that the 400-meter hurdles record of Jamaica only has two competitors in there because the Rochelle Clayton,
suffered an injury.
Yeah, and then Shanique Walker was
there was some mishap or misunderstanding or non-communication or miscommunication.
So what happened is that the J3 Dr. Warren Blake put out a statement saying pretty much that all the athletes were given the opportunity to take the test or do the test but didn't do it. Right. My information is that put it this way. The athlete, I had a conversation with the athlete, and I'm gonna, in the interest of fairness, I'm gonna tell Jamaica what the athlete told me, because I think
was that an interview that she did with you?
Yeah.
Oh, so pretty much. So that's knowledge that can be shared with.
Yeah. Because I asked her about it because I was concerned about whether or not, why is it that when she was in the Bahamas that that she was not able to, that she was not, that she didn't do the test. And this is what she said to me.
So we had a team WhatsApp group when we went to NACAC in the Bahamas. So they sent the list in the group with the names of the females that were supposed to go do the test. So they ticked the names of who they wanted to do the test, and they told them to go to the lobby in the hotel to take a photograph, and they should bring their passport with them. And they were supposed to do the test the other day. So it was just like my name was not on the list because at that time in the Bahamas I wasn't named as an alternate. They named me after. So I think they forgot that, like, oh, she didn't take the test, because I don't think they were planning to even name me before the NACA games.
So it was an oversight then.
Yeah.
It was an oversight.
Yeah.
Because she wasn't named.
Yeah.
Right. She wasn't named before a particular time, and then so the list was sent down, and the athletes who were already named apparently were able to. They say, okay, all of you go and take the test, and she was left out. So I guess. Again, how it's
yeah, but the impression that Dr. Blake's statement gave was that all the athletes were required to go and take the test.
I guess all the athletes who were already selected.
Yeah. So you see what you see.
So all the athletes who were already selected for were sent down to the lobby to go and do what they were supposed to do, and not her.
Yeah. So this claim that all the athletes were.
Again, I think we just have to tighten up when it comes to international competition. We have to, as far as the management of these teams, I think we really need to take a look at where we falter each year and what are some of the things that needs to be in place, and to have a tighter ship when it comes to managing our athletes, because these little things disrupt the apple cart. It just disrupt things where you're constantly hearing of things happening when it comes to a major championship for Jamaica and the athletes. And I think Jamaicans are tired of it, and the athletes are tired of it. That's possibly one of the reasons why we're seeing the switching of allegiance.
Yeah.
And just just the different things that happen and go on from year to year. And so I think we really need to take a look at, how can you do better? How can you serve the athletes better, because that is why you are there. You are there to really serve them and their interests and to make sure that their welfare is well taken care of for the games. And so I think those are some of the things that they need to really have a sit down to look to say. You mentioned this morning about a sports psychologist. Now, I don't know if there's a sports psychologist traveling with the team or not this year, or if they've had employed someone over the years to go with the team. I don't know, because I'm not that intimate with the association. But those are some of the things I think in 2025 we should be looking at to have a complete thing. When I was in college back in the day, in a long time that, we had sports psychologists coming to talk to us as student athletes, coming to speak with us. And this was during our off season and junior season as well. They had a sports psychologist coming to us and speaking to you to just talk to you about preparation and the mental aspect of the sport and how you should react to, and you were able to ask questions or not. You're talking about 30, 40 years ago,
Yep.
Right? We shouldn't be having these kinds of conversation.
No, yeah, exactly.
And that is what I mean by we need to really take a comprehensive look to look at who do we have in these posts? Who are the people whose interests are we serving? And is it the athlete's interest? Whose interest? And take stock at what it is that needs to be done and really get it done.
Yeah, because what look, the impression I get, and I could be completely off base here, but the impression, there's a perception sometimes is greater than reality. But I get the impression that the governing body does not take stock of previous missteps, and as a result, they don't put measures in place to prevent those things from happening again. Because you can go back to as far back as the 1980s, and every single major championship you can remember, there has been some issue with the governing body as it relates to the athletes. Last year it was Nyeka Clunis being left off the list, and this ridiculous argument that because of the hurricane they couldn't get her name back on the list. I had internet. They said they didn't have internet because the storm disrupted their service. I'm sure they could have found somebody to send off an email somewhere else. That to me was lame. There have been so many different instances over the years. I mean, it goes back to as far back as I can remember. So what I get the impression is that regardless of all of these missteps and these situations keep arising, it's either they don't know what to do, which I don't think is the case, because you have some pretty smart people in that executive, or they don't care, which I'm not so sure about, because I do believe that there are people within the organization that have the athletes' interests at heart, or simply there is an absence of systems that you use to guide your preparation for major championships from year to year. So you have world championships coming up. A, this is what needs to be done. B, this is what needs to be done in conjunction with that. C, and go along the line. So at the end of the day, before the team even leaves, you need to tick off all of those different things to ensure that everything is in place. All your ducks are in a row. But I'm not quite sure that's what happens. And I'm sure if Garth Gill, as president, would maybe do an interview and try to explain to the general public and to allow the athletes to learn or to be greater aware of what those measures are that the J3S takes each year to prepare teams for major championships. I'm sure a lot of that would go away, because then they'd get some feedback from the athletes, from their agents, from their managers, from their coaches, and then allow them to use that information to then create a structure that will allow for or prevent some of these mishaps from happening. It's it's a little bit tiring and tiresome, but
well, again, as you said, it's possibly the systems in place because again, we've been doing this for a number of years back to back. We've been there since 1948.
Yep.
We have done this. This is not new to us, and so is it that the systems are not in place? And I think that we should possibly take a look at what needs to be done and get those things done.
Yeah.
We are too much of a powerhouse, I believe, for such a small country, and to excel the way we excel, getting on the podium. Right now we're looking at 8 medals. We're gone 3 already.
Yep.
We're gone 3 already, and so we're looking at. Well, I'm looking at. I'm looking at between 8 and 10 medals, and so some people are looking at possibly 13.
I don't see that.
You don't see that, and so for us to say we are competing on this kind of a world stage, international stage, in a world championship, and we little Jamaica, small dot on a dot on the map on the globe, to say we're going to get as many medals, and we just knock out the USA a while ago, today.
Yep.
We got first and second, they got third.
Yep.
Big mighty USA with 300 and something million people. We have a 2.9 million people, 3 million people in Jamaica. We just got first and second.
Yep. Let's bring Wayne in here. Wayne, you're coming in from Tokyo. Boss, what's been the reaction like to the medal haul today? I mean, we saw some video, Wayne, from the Jamaican camp, some hilarious videos of Frederick Dakers flipping a table and running around like a crazy person. What's been the general mood in the camp, Wayne, and of course in Tokyo about the Jamaican performances today?
Well, good morning to you guys, and great to be with you again. Let me just start with the Frederick Dakers. The reaction to his viral video is that they're hoping that he can do the same when he goes out there in competition, and that's a turn over a table, but turn the stadium upside down. It was really great to watch. Somebody videoing the Jamaicans back at their village, cheering on the Jamaicans. Akeem, Kishane, and Oblique and the others who performed last night in the women's 100 meters. So that was really nice to see. The reaction was brilliant. In fact, last night when I left the stadium, I normally go to Sandia station. I still have a problem getting that train station, but it's next door to the stadium. And when I got there last night, loads of Jamaicans there. And, Oliver Norton, she brought her bunch, and there are others who flew in from different parts. A lot of people working in Asia. So there's a short trip coming over into Tokyo to give the support to the Jamaicans. In fact, a journalist from Finland asked me yesterday, he said, he can't understand, every time he goes to a world championship or the Olympic Games, the Jamaicans are prominent places in the stadium. Most of them make the winning line, and over where the field events taking place, the Jamaicans are there. And he's asking, how did we manage to sort of tie down those prime spots in the stadium? I don't know how we did, so I couldn't answer.
We probably should get Oliver to
we
talk
are
about
Jamaicans.
I think, and Jamaicans, we do everything. I mean, I have a former colleague in Japan here who was a short line, and one of them says a little about Talawa. And it attracted a lot of attention in the stadium when we went up there last night. So everything Jamaican people love it. It's easy to sell Jamaica, and it's just a pity that the people who are in Jamaica don't appreciate and understand really what is going on, and how people, our language, they like our food, they like everything, and so on and so forth. So it was like a party atmosphere in the train station last night and on the train themselves. And it was just one of those nights that you want to bottle. I've experienced a lot of those nights, but last night there was just a special thing about last night. And that special thing, I think I know what it is. That special thing is Noah Lyles. That guy splits opinions so much. He gets you riled up, and then he also pulls you in, and he's such a nice guy. You just never know which of the guys Noah Lyles are going to get on the day. So last night it was just brilliant, and we hope that this is a catalyst for Jamaica to sort of kick on for the rest of the championship. But it was really brilliant last night.
When did you get a chance to talk sorry, Jordan, go ahead.
He was brilliant in what way?
No, I say it was brilliant. The atmosphere, the whole reaction to the whole thing.
Okay.
Wayne, did you have a chance to talk to Glenn Mills? I saw an interview he did where he said that Oblique's first 60 was not as good as, but he said it was probably the worst one he's ever run. What do you make of that? And had he run the way Glenn wanted him to run, perhaps, what do you think probably would have probably seen? A 969 or something like that?
Well, I suppose that reaction from Glenn, and I don't think Glenn traveled there. When he was in Germany, the Oblique and them guys, Brian Lavelle, in the later stages of August, mid to late August, they were at the Adidas complex in Germany for like 2 or 3 weeks, hanging out up there, fitting up new gear and training, because there's this massive and brilliant facility up there that they were hoping to use for the Jamaican team if Adidas was supposed to be their power sponsor. So that some of the Jamaican athletes are aware of it, so they were up there. And it was then that I found out that Mr. Mills would not necessarily be traveling to Tokyo, but instead heading back to Jamaica. I've not seen him. I think he's in Jamaica, though, I really do think he's in Jamaica. And it's a good thing you raised the point. I was going to tell Alric today that he could touch base with Sir Glenn and find out. But to answer that question, the same thing you and I spoke about last night, Leighton, about what you were hearing coming out of Oblique's training camp about the sort of times he was running. I think Glenn knows exactly what he was seeing in training and what Oblique was capable of and what they prepare him to do at a particular time in the year. And so the first 60 meters, Glenn is telling us, if he did that, what he did in training, we would have seen it. And it's a pity that we didn't get a chance to see it because he didn't sort of execute the way he wanted him to.
Okay, looking ahead to today's performances, of course, we have the women in the 400-meter hurdles, Sharon Salmon and Antoinette Knight. What can you tell us about, what their mood is like? How are they looking in terms of preparation? Are they ready and set to go for the 400-meter hurdles, despite the fact there's only 2 of them now because Rochelle Clayton isn't there, and of course Shanique Walker was not able to take up the opportunity as an alternate?
Yeah, she wasn't able to take it up because you have to do this SRY test, swab test, and if you don't do it, you can't run, and that was plain and simple, and which I think the administrators of our sport would have fallen down on that, because I think the very least you could do with the alternates, allow them to take that test, because you never know what might happen. You need to drop them in, and just like now with Sadiq, you certainly would have brought her in. They just say she couldn't make it because of logistic problems. The logistic is that they didn't forward plan, to let them do it. So it's just like the COVID test. You go and you solve your tongue and you do your nose and you leave. I mean, what's going to hurt? Do that and make sure that they're ready to jump in. And it's just a shame that it didn't happen. And you know what? It's funny, and Leighton and the rest of the group, we heard like 3 or 4 weeks that Russia, not me, but will not be at the championship. The 3 weeks ago, as Alric, we spoke about it in the department. Little Nationwide spoke about that Rochelle will not be going to the World Championship 3 weeks ago. Now, if the federation would have heard something like that, they call in Sadiq and say, listen, do a swap, you might have to go in. But there was no forward planning. Yeah, with what's her name, Megan, it was kind of, maybe the same, but it was slightly different because her injury took place like a day before they would be ready to run, or 2 days. So it's kind of, but that aside, Shan has been training well. I've seen her in training. She did well in the early stages of the season with Grand Slam track. She was on the circuit as one of the races, I think it was, yeah. And Antoinette. So they both have been running good. One of the things I think LeBron switching to the 400 really do to re-energize everybody else in the 400 hurdles and make them believe that they can not win it, but at least get a medal where they wouldn't have been thinking, because you still have the attempt roll out of the Netherlands, who many people expect to win this. In fact, she's the only person in the entire world outside of LeBron to dip below 51 seconds. She's by far the best in the world, and unless she falls into a hole, she's going to win it. But the others now might feel they have a chance to get on the podium, and I'm sure Shan and Antoinette will want to believe so now that LeBron is not in the event, and this, I suppose, could spur them on to even greater performances that they really think they really have. I expect both of them to get through this morning and go on to the next round.
This morning, when you spoke with Stacey Ann Williams and of course Nikisha Price. We didn't get a chance to follow up with that conversation to any extent. What I wanted to get from you, you there seeing what was happening live. Of course, we were seeing it on television and listening to it on radio here on Nationwide Radio. But you got the impression that those two ladies especially look particularly strong this morning, stronger than perhaps you've ever seen them before. You know, Stacey Ann 49.59, almost a half a second off her personal best, previous personal best of 50 seconds flat. You get the impression that they could improve even more as the rounds progress towards the final.
Yeah, have you seen the draw for the semi-final?
No, not for the 400 meter semi-finals. No, I haven't seen the draw.
Yeah, I would love to see that. But you're right. As a standalone, forget where they're going to be drawn in the semi-finals. They really look good. Stacey has been trying for years to dip below that magical 50-second barrier. And to do it in the opening round of the World Championship. As we say, the event is moving along quite quickly and quite nicely. For her to eventually do it and do it in the first round, as I said to her yesterday, and I think I asked Bobel the same question, is it a good or bad thing to run your lifetime best in the first round of the championship? You've never done this in your entire life. You've been to so many championships, and in the first round, you extend your body. And she felt good about it because I spoke with her after, and she said, you know, the change of environment, the change of coach, and as she's in a new place has given her a new lease on life. And she was wondering if it was going to come because leading into the championship, like 2 or 3 weeks before the championship, she wasn't trusting her form. She didn't believe that she was going to get there. And she eventually did. And again, performances like these oftentimes serve to spur you on. I made a comparison with Juliet Crawford-Flynn last night when I spoke with you guys about her trying to break this 11-second barrier, and the moment she did it and she couldn't go back, this will push Stacey. And Nikisha, we know what she's capable of. This girl is a 48 runner. She was an NCAA champion and hit the heights really, really hugely. Last year it was unfortunate for her in Paris where she had a personal issue and just didn't feel comfortable in the race. And
I was told that stomach virus because she was...
Who remember that London performance in the Diamond League that she threw down that brilliant time? Yeah, so we expected a lot from her last year. So yeah, they're both right now cock-a-hoop, as the Belgians would say, and they're close friends. They work together, they train together, and I'm looking forward to something special from especially Nikisha Price. Believe me, I'm looking for something special from her. Stacey as well, but Nikisha, don't sleep on her.
Let me just give our listeners an idea of. I pulled up the semi-final draw. In Heat 1, Shade Williams, Aliyah Butler, of course, who has gone pro now. She's giving up, foregoing her final year of eligibility at University of Georgia. Natalia Kazmarek, I can't pronounce her current name. I don't even try to. Marlita Paulino, Henrietta Yeager, and Venlo of Haiti, and of course Dejanay Oakley, who I think, and she told you how long she's been competing since December last year. I think she's just tired.
32 weeks.
Yeah, this semi-final heat is ridiculous. You know, when you look at Aliyah Butler, who has run 49 at the U.S. trials, Sade has been struggling all season. Paulino, Yeager, and Venlo are outstanding. Have been outstanding. You saw the form in the early heats. You know, it's going to be a very, very tough heat. In heat number 2, the semi-final heat number 2, Stacey Ann Williams takes on Leaky Claver, Isabella Whitaker, who has been pretty good on the circuit so far this year, and Salwa Ad Nasser, Printasia Johnson of the Bahamas as well, is in heat number 2. And in heat 3, Sydney McLaughlin-Nervone goes up against Nikisha Price, Amber Anning, and Andrea Milklos of Romania. This is all 3 semi-final heats, and Hamida as well from Egypt. All 3 of these semi-final heats are like groups of death.
That's what semi-finals are about.
That. Nikisha drawn in Sydney's semi-final was his first 2 past the post and the next 2 fastest. Is that the situation?
Yeah.
Right. No. Yeah. I think Nikisha would. I think she would like this. It will give her a very early indication or an early insight if she gets to the final, what she could be capable of. And if I was in that semi-final, I would probably go with Sydney and judge while I go, because 400 meters is about how you distribute.
Yeah.
And as you go along, it's a thinking person's race, just like there's a 400 hurdle is. I don't know if Sydney could drag her into a special time. As you rightly said, a group of death, and all group of death keep you thinking. But I expect Nikisha to come out of that semi-final and come out of that semi-final quite comfortably too. Stacey, she's up against Merlady, the World and Olympic Champions, eh?
Yeah.
Because I'm not seeing the semi-final draw. She's in that semi-final.
She's in the semi-final with Isabella Whitaker, Salwa Ad Nasir, and Nikki Claver. That's a very, very tough heat.
Yeah. Wow.
This is semi-finals. That's what we expect.
Isabella Whitaker has run. Isabella Whitaker has run 49-2 so far this year. Nikki Claver. We know her history. She's run 50.1 this year, but the thing about it is that we know her to be a consistent 49 second runner. And of course, Salwa speaks for itself.
Yeah. You see, it's easy on two fronts to want Nikisha, to want Stacey to do well. One, you're Jamaican, and two, you want her to do well because for long before Nikisha broke out on the NCAA circuit, it was really Stacey who was sort of, pushing the thing along. So you don't want her to get through from that day. The problem is, despite her brilliance last night in dipping below 50 seconds, does she have a history of coming back the next round or the next day and reproduce? Can she come back and reproduce the performance? Not necessarily the time, because you don't necessarily need the time to get there, but the sort of execution, the way she looked, doing it. Can she do it 2 days in a row? 3 days even, and that's my only concern. Was it a one-off last night, and she can't come back with that sort of performance to get her into the semi-final? I don't know. I really don't know. We can analyze what she did last night as a standalone and wax lyrical about it. The question though, can she come back and do it? We know Nikisha can. We've seen her do it. I'm not sure Stacey has proven that she can do that. Having said all of that, I think she has it in her to make the semi-final, to make the final. I think it's going to be tough on her, though. I really do think it's going to be tough on her.
Yeah, when I watched her run, when I watched her heat this morning, I didn't get the impression that she was overextended, even though she ran a big PB. She looked very comfortable this morning. I think Judith will probably agree with me. She looked like she was well within herself. The only thing that she was running against Nasa. So, anybody running against her, if you're not Pauline or Sidney McLaughlin, you will look ordinary. But I think she was well within herself. She looked very comfortable. I didn't see any signs of us. The 400 is the last 100 is usually the most difficult, and I didn't see that from her.
You guys
this
not
morning.
hearing you. Okay, yeah, I'm hearing you.
Okay, cool. So I think maybe she'll be able to replicate that time, or something close to that 49.59. If she does it, I think she probably advances. I know Isabel Wick has been running well all year, yeah, and but if it's the first two and the next two fastest times, I think Stacey could probably run 49 something else and still be among the next two fastest times, because Nikki Claver hasn't been at her best this year. And so maybe there's a window there, an opportunity for her to get in as one of the fastest non-automatic qualifiers.
I think she's capable.
Salwa and Isabella as probably two of those showing, which means Stacey would have to wait, on time.
Yeah, or probably split.
I think that's a good assessment. Maybe. I mean, I'm just looking at it now. I'm still worried a little though about Claver. I think she has good pedigree.
Absolutely.
She did well at the European indoors, and I just think. I don't know. You see, the problem is that I don't know if Stacey can come back the next day to do it, and that is the only doubt I have with her.
Yeah, well, I mean, remember, this is new territory for her as well. So the fact is that, and you're right. Can she repeat? She runs a PB, and
she wasn't. I didn't think she was overextending herself to run that PB. I think even though She ran well within herself. Even though NASA, she was way out there. I don't think she was really following her. I think she was just running her own race and was able to run a PB. Price, we know, as you said, that she can repeat. We saw how well she did even after having an incredible run as on the school circuit and then NCAA, and then coming back and was able to perform. So, I know that we know that Nikisha has it within her to do it. But I think all these athletes have it within them to do it. They all ran in the collegiate season, and so this is something that they repeated. It's a matter of, is she in shape to do it? Is she in shape, or is it that she's just now coming into her own for that preparation that she was probably doing leading up to these championships? She peaked. Now she is where she is. We saw a PB. She may be able to PB, and we've seen it before. Persons running their personal best right throughout the first rounds, semi-final and final. Again, I think these quarter milers prepare themselves in a different way, and the possibilities are, I believe that she will be able to pull this through.
Yeah, I know. My only issue, Juliet, and I get the point you're making, is that when you're in an event where the talent and quality and class is so vast, right across the semifinals, right across the first round heat, and you're not amongst the elite, what it calls for is for you to be so darn consistent throughout the run. Sydney can slack off and get into the semis.
Oh, yeah.
Stacey can't. And so that is the little window I'm looking at. And so she's not amongst the elite. It's going to call for her to do good performances every round, while it might not do the same for Salwa or Marilady or Levrone. And that's the only thing. And the fact that she's just dipping below 50, these people get up in the morning, and if they walk 50, they're upset. So that's the point in me.
I like the way you put that. If they walk 50, they'll be upset. Yeah, because they can do a 50 with their eyes closed. But yeah, but I think it's the top two, and then the next. We've seen a lot of people sitting there waiting on the bubble to see if they get in or not. And it's just a matter of watching this next round to see how she'll do.
When you think Oakley has enough in her to get out of the first semi-final, that includes Alia Butler, who beat her at the NCAAs, Natalia Kazmarek, and Paulino and Jaeger.
Yes, last night I don't know if you guys picked it up. When Alia came into the mixed zone, Dejani was already in there. Dejani was sitting down. She and I were talking and discussing Levrone, and Alia ran in the heat right after Dejani. So she walked in, and I don't know if you remember a pan when they were both embracing. She got up and she went and greeted her. And the message I was sending, look at the last two NCAA first and second place finishers now representing their respective countries. I didn't like how Alia looked yesterday. She struggled. I think she ran third in her first round.
Yeah, she looked tired too.
I just didn't like how she looked. She looked labored. Right. So now they're drawn now in the same semi-final, the top two in the NCAAs and the two friends. I really think Dejani has the possibility of getting into the next round. Jaeger is running well, for sure, and Marilady, of course, she speaks for herself. But I think those two aside, I think we've got an even field, and a field of people who you can close your eyes and pull one out of it. And I think because of that, Dejani must like her chances. What I'm worried about though is Dejani's personality. She's a sort of an introvert, sort of a
very quiet
nice girl. Yeah, nice.
Well, we saw her dancing and coming out. So
and she said that was coming out of her shell.
Coming out of her shell. So who knows? She may have something up her sleeve.
Her granny didn't know. But you see, the thing is, right? And so for me, it's just her personality. You need in
fire kind of personality for those for 400 meters, eh?
There you go. You need something.
That aggression.
Additionally, I sat and spoke with her for about 10 minutes last night, and I said to myself, "This girl she's so chilled," and I don't know. I just don't get the fire from her. But then again, maybe she's one of those who allow her legs to do the talking.
No, the thing about it,
I think she can get through.
She said something about the national championships when she finished second. She said mid-race, if you remember the race, she was actually trailing Nikisha by some way, and then she picked up herself. She said she remembered mid-race who she was, A woman who had just a couple of weeks before that run 49.65. That was what got her back into the race. And I think, for Dejanay, it's about her now gradually finding the kind of confidence. Because I did a couple of interviews with her earlier this season. One prior to NC finals, and of course I spoke to her after NCs as well. I ran 2 features on Sportsmax.tv, but of course we can't see those stories anymore because the site is now down forever. But the impression I get from her is that she's gradually growing into a sense of self-belief that perhaps wasn't there before. And I think the process is still ongoing. It's not a complete process yet. So I think as she competes at the senior level, because as you know, she has another year left at University of Georgia. She has an NIL contract with On. She intends to go pro. So, maybe over the next season as she competes for University of Georgia and then gradually transitions into the professional ranks, that she will eventually grow into herself in terms of that confidence that she might be lacking right now. Because I get the sense that, she's beginning to believe, but it's still in the embryonic stages of her development.
Well, you only believe, I think, once you get on that circuit and you compete against the same people over and over again. Again, as you said, being on the collegiate circuit still and maybe competing in a few races here and there in Europe, it doesn't build that strength, that mental strength that you need until you get on the circuit and you're competing with these girls back to back to back. So then you know what you should look out for, what you possibly can do. So it will take a little time for her to possibly, if she's that type of a personality. Some people just have that innately, and some people it has to grow on them. I don't know what kind of personality she has as far as track and field is concerned.
Yeah, and I could put that's a very good point, Juliet, about racing against these people every day. So when you turn up at the majors, it's helpful for Bleak, and I spoke about it.
Yeah.
And last night I was talking to Dejanay, and she was like giggling like a little girl, and she I don't know. And then it was surprising when she said to me, when I stepped out there and I saw the crowd, I can't believe I'm running in front. I'm never running. And I was saying to myself, this girl is operating at the very top level. And one of the things that really grabbed her when she walked into the arena last night was that so many people were in there. It's the point that Juliet is making. You need to be out there regularly and consistently. So when you turn up at these big events, it's nothing new to you. But as you rightly say, she's still in college. Who knows? She may even, is it too late for her to go pro even before the restart of the school term?
I'm not sure. I don't know what kind of conversations she's had with her NIL sponsor. But I do know that she told me in an interview that she intends to go pro once she's finished with college.
Well, that's next year. So, I mean, she just...
Yeah, but remember the NIL, you can step out of it tomorrow morning if you want.
I know. Yeah. I know. So, but
they don't have a problem with NIL. NIL, you can step out tomorrow if you want.
I guess it's down to bigger them and to see what the situation is.
All of them are here. Her team is here. They're out and stunting. So,
it's funny. It's funny she said that because... I guess for me, going to the Olympics at age 16 and just didn't compete, but seeing the crowd, I think that is when I was like, oh my God. But then again, back in those days, Wayne, we didn't have no TV, said there was an Olympic Games.
Exactly.
The biggest thing for me was the national stadium being filled. Competing at boys champs or girls champs at that time. So you didn't know that there was this enormous, your stadium could be 60,000 people. But, I mean, you have TV, you know what's out there. For me, I never did see the crowd, When you're competing, the only thing I'd go into a stadium and look for is my Jamaica flag. Because you have all the flags around the stadium. I would go into the stadium and look for my Jamaica flag. I didn't even know that there were people there. I mean, you hear the crowd, but that didn't scare me. That didn't intimidate me. Didn't do anything for me. You hear the roar, but again, it depends too on the personality.
And as I say, it's having said all of that, it shows raw, unadulterated honesty from her.
Yeah.
And it's good when you can say what it is, and so now I have to give her the opportunity to sort of grow and start to wonder now that she has tasted this. Does she want to go back to school?
She can only go from
and which is what I asked late in the question. Is it too late for her now to decide? She's talking to Ali about their friends. And who knows? Ali might say, Dejane, what are you going back for?
Because Ali has gone pro now. She announced it this week that Ali has gone pro.
Oh.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So Ali and Ali are good friends. They run to the same university. And who knows? Let's see where Dejane goes from here. And I was talking to Jaden Hibbert's father before Budapest, and I asked him what he's going to do. And they just signed an NIL with Puma. And he said to me, Wayne, about going pro, we're going to decide when we get to Budapest, depending on what he does there. And as you all know, famously, the hamstring injury stopped him from getting into the final because he would have gone on possibly to even win a medal because he was operating at the peak of his power at that time. So a lot of those class athletes from the NCAAs, they may come into global championships like these, and then it's during that championship and what they do determine whether they go back to school or not. So they may very well be toying with that idea. You never know.
If the company is gonna finish their tuition and pay for everything, then why not? I mean, what would stop?
Yes.
I mean, these things didn't happen back years ago, where anybody would step in and say, "We're going to pay your tuition for you." If you decide to go pro, that'd be all on you.
Right.
So I mean, there would be nothing stopping that individual to say, "Look, my company is going to pay for the rest of my school year tuition and room and board, and you go pro." Because again, you're going to be preparing for an Olympic Games. It's the Olympics that's coming up next.
Right.
I understand that's 2 years away, so
right.
you have an extra year.
You want that year to actually prepare you for that.
Yeah. Okay. The thing about it is for her going pro is that. Because I'm one of these guys who believe that if you're in your junior year at college, might as well just finish and done. I mean,
but you can still go pro and finish.
Yeah, that's true too.
Because as I'm saying,
that's true too.
Your team will pay for your tuition for you to finish that.
Because take Brianna Liston, for example. Isn't Brianna Liston finished now, Wayne? She's finishing up school.
Yeah,
right?
she's gone pro, but she's finishing up school. And there's another example of it. When Akeem
Bloomfield, right?
Decided, the company stepped in and decided, listen, you can go back to school, we'll deal with the rest of it. Yeah. So there are many examples of that happening.
Yeah. So that's maybe something she should be considering, because the fact that she's run 49 for the first time in her career, and I mean, but the thing is that she hasn't replicated the time yet, so maybe she decides to go pro, but she'd forego her eligibility for next year, but she'd be on the circuit learning how to compete against the best in the world. So she's the best of both worlds. So
before the Olympic Games.
Yeah. So
exactly.
And of course, her coming to the fore then adds to Jamaica's depth, along with Nikisha Price and of course Stacey Ann Williams. And there's some talented athletes coming through as well through the collegiate system from Jamaica. So maybe in another year or two, we're looking at a stronger cadre of Jamaican 400-meter runners for women, like we're beginning to see now for the men, I think, because to be honest, when I saw the times that the Jamaicans ran today, including Rasheen is what, 31 now, Wayne?
Yeah, thereabouts.
Yeah, and
big boy now.
Yeah, big boy. Yeah. Delano Kennedy and company. You're looking at the bunch of guys who are coming through. Those times are very encouraging this morning.
For sure. And I was going to say to you, you guys, do you realize that Jamaica's transition, because sports is cyclical, and I can draw a clear example of the West Indies dominating for years, and the moment they lost that 1992 series to Australia, they just never come back. Australia went into a dip, and it took them like a year or two, and they're back to being the best in the world. Our track and field, the post-boat era, people were worried about it. And more particularly the sprints. Well, if you look right across the board, there's a resurgence, and the resurgence is very, very quick. Look at all the events. They're coming back very, very quickly.
I don't know who was worried and why.
They're all coming back.
All right.
I don't know why we're worried, or I really don't. As you said, I mean, that is the nature of sports.
All right, so let me just give you some breaking information here. Well, not really breaking, because I did break it this morning. that Julian Alfred will be pulling out of the 200. Her camp has officially released a statement now. Due to a hamstring injury sustained during the preparation for the 100-meter finals and following a medical diagnosis of a grade 1 strain on her right distal hamstring tendon, Julian Alfred will unfortunately be withdrawing from the 200-meter event and concluding her participation at the 2025 World Championships. Yeah, so she's confirmed. I tweeted that story this morning when I got the information that she had suffered the injury and that she was likely to pull out of the 200, and it has so far 43,000 views.
Yeah, well, it is to provide further comfort for people like Ashanti, not necessarily Shericka, because Shericka is a reigning world champion and the fastest woman alive over the event. But Gabby and now Juju pulling out, you can't help but to think that with people like Ashanti rounding into form coming into the championship might now believe that they have, a good opportunity to do well. What does do well mean? I'm not sure, but to do well, do better than they had expected before people like Juju and Gabby's, pull out of the championship. I just want to know though, when Juju went away for 5 weeks, what was the problem with her?
It was not a problem.
Go again, sorry.
There was not a problem. The coach the coach said he needed a block of time to work with her on some things. And they took the time off because it was important for them to fine-tune some things that they thought they didn't spend enough time on during the course of the season, because she had been competing well, and then when they recognized that the window was closing towards the World Championships, they decided to take a block of time. 5 weeks was what I was told specifically, for her to work on some things before she got into Tokyo. She was not injured. I know Lassan had released a statement saying that she was pulling out because of injury, but she was not. Actually, she gave an interview to St. Lucia Times debunking the idea that she was injured. She was not. And my information as well, speaking to the camp, was that she was not injured.
Okay. Well, as I say, the Jamaican ladies should feel a little bit more emboldened now, because they're the two favorites. Well, Melissa is doing.
Right now, Melissa looks like she's going to take the double because the door has been kicked wide open now.
Again, she seems as if she will, because when you look at her 100 meter, her speed endurance is really up there. I have to say. And if she gets away off the curve, then it's going to be very difficult, even with the strength of Shericka, to possibly catch her, because she's going to be so far gone. Shericka, of course, looking good. 10:88 is nothing to laugh about. It's a very good time for her. So I think she's in that 21 shape to compete credibly against Jefferson. Wooden, but I think Jefferson, with how she looked this morning, I have to say that she has the edge right now.
I think she blows over the field based on what I saw today. I think she blows over the field in the 20 because
she's going to come off that curve and she's going to be gone. Nobody's going to be able to catch her.
Yeah, sorry if it's not as if we're talking over each other, because there are times when you guys are in and I'm not hearing you. So
okay. No worries, we understand.
Apologies for that. Yeah, but the thing about her is that Melissa is not like Shelley, who run the 200 sometimes.
Right.
Or very rarely run it. Her legs are used to the 200 meter strip because she runs it regularly. So it's not somebody who's dominant in the 100 trying a thing to see if she can add extra money to her bank account in the 200, or to sort of improve her hardware in terms of medal count. She's genuinely a 200 meter runner, so she won't have any issues with that.
Yeah, but you realize, Wayne, that Melissa Jefferson could actually equal something that Shelley Ann Fraser-Pryce stands alone in winning 3 gold medals at the same World Championships. Because
let's hope we upset that in the 4x1.
Well, we can hope. But so if she wins the 200, all she has to do now is win the 4x1, and the United States does have a strong team. Even though I do believe that Jamaica is a lot closer to the team than we initially thought. So who with Shericka and the Clayton twins and Shelley, I think Jamaica, if they get the changes right,
I think they will. We should beat them, not challenge. I think we will beat them.
I just think that Melissa is a game changer on any leg that she runs on.
One person can't. One person can't be just a game changer. Terry didn't look so hot. Nita didn't look so hot. And so if we get the baton right, for sure, I think we will.
I don't know. I think Shakira Richards misunderstood the question I asked her last night. It wasn't on air. I asked her. She was coming through the mix zone, and when she came up alongside me, I said to her, Shak, you're running? Meaning, could you stop for a minute? And I said, you're running? You're running along? You're running next? You're running along? And she said, no, I'm done. So I was just wondering if she meant she's finished, meaning she was
done with 100 meters.
Because she could very well do that, because she's ragged at the minute. She's all over the place. She got into the final as one of on time. That's not Shakira. Shakira is a world champion. Disappointingly lost the 100 final in Paris last year at a time when it looked as if her career is just going to kick on and she's going to run some fantastic times, the times that Melissa is running now. And for her to move from that last year to this, she's all over the place. Of course, she has her own personal issues. So I'm just wondering what she said last night. She misunderstood the question, but at the same time let me into something that I shouldn't have known. She said, I'm done. And I'm just wondering, because if she's done, then she's one less person to worry about on the U.S.
But if she's done, though, and there's still Jason Sears, there's still Mackenzie Long, there's still Brittany Brown. The United States is not short of resources. So even, and to be fair, Sears is in much better shape than Shakira. And remember, right now, the only reason why Shakira is there is because she has the bias defending champion. Because her season has not been extraordinary at all. She's in quite.
Because even Mackenzie Long is in a better shape. Yeah. She won the sprint double, right? Was it at the NCs?
Mackenzie Long.
Mackenzie Long, isn't she a sprint double winner at the NCs?
I think so.
I think she won the double. Yeah. I think she won the double. But even she's in better form now than Shak anyway.
Yeah, and so the United States is not short of talent to replace Shakira, and in fact it makes them stronger because she has not been in the best. I mean, what did she run in the final? 10:94. Sears has run 10:85 this season. Mackenzie Long has run 21:93 over 200 meters. So they have speed. The Jamaican quartet on paper looks strong because I hear that Tia Clayton is in great shape. We just saw Tina Clayton run 10:76. Shericka Jackson run 10:88. And Shelley 11:03 that Shelley ran today. If they can probably bring in Ashanti Moore, which I'm doubting that's going to happen. But
no, that's not going to happen.
Yes. So you're looking at a situation where that quartet I think is good enough to win gold, but it depends on who the Americans use and the setup and the setup. Yeah.
It's going to be important with the setup. Very crucial.
Yeah. Well, as I say, we have some interesting days still. The whole Jamaica-USA rivalry that took a break a year for going back and back in full swing. I'm so excited. How can you not love sport?
How can you not? They talk so much about us, and here we are.
Right.
Usain is no longer there, and here we are, first, second on that podium. And they have to just settle for third.
Amongst us who prefer politics over sport, but you have to love sport, man. You have to.
Yeah.
Yep. So, of course, there are a lot of events on today that don't involve Jamaicans. That hammer throw, the women's pole vault, the 3,000 meter steeplechase that comes up at 8:30. I think we're probably going to take that live as well. And then the night closes the morning session closes with the 400 meter hurdles. Will you be trying to get interviews so we can hold for that?
Here I was thinking, because I got home at 1, I was getting the morning off. Alec calling me.
Alec's laughing.
It's crazy, and but anything for our coverage, man. It is what it is. I mean, we're in a
You're young in a way.
environment.
You're young. You shouldn't be tired.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Thank you, Juliet. I always can depend on you to boost me up. But let's see. We'll hold and see.
All right. Anyway, we'll go and do what you do best, and of course we'll be talking to you later on tonight, hopefully, as the championships continue. This is day 2, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
3.
Yes.
Is it day 2?
It's day 2.
Day 2, yeah.
I'm losing
it
track.
feels like day 3.
Yeah, the time difference can throw you for a loop, but it's actually day 2. It's day 3 for us, but it's day two
Yeah.
for them because we are into.
Yeah, and it's a public holiday here too.
Yeah.
And so when I looked out this morning, well, I was told it was a public holiday, so I knew it. But when I look outside, it was more pronounced, you know, and so.
But not a lot of people out.
Things are a bit cool now. One of the things that I noticed when you walk or drive around Tokyo, you don't hear anybody talking about the championship, none at all. You see, like an hour before the start of competition of the day, you see them full.
Yeah. Japanese people are focused.
The Japanese don't talk. They just go and do.
I have a few friends living in Japan, and one of the things that I can tell you that I've learned from them is that they are a very disciplined society. So they focus, they compartmentalize very well. When they're at work, they're at work, and when they're not at work, they focus on the next thing. They don't tend to overlap things in terms of their professional lives. It's one of the reasons why I think they're such a organized society. And I just know Christine. Have you seen Christine there in Tokyo? I know she was in Tottori because she's there for a year. But have you seen her in Tokyo?
Well, when at her send off in Jamaica, she and I were at the Japanese embassy sending off the members of the JET program, the cohort for this year. And one of the things that I asked her, she was going up to tutorial because she's going to be using the year to sort of, help the Japanese youngsters to love the sport and to learn the dynamics of the sport and so on. But she did also tell me that when the Jamaica team flies into Tokyo, she'll be coming. I haven't seen her yet, but I think she's here in Tokyo, and I really do think because she's embedded with them as well as part of the whole process of getting her integrated into the Japanese society. But I think so. I haven't run into her, but I'm almost certain she's here. And if she's in Tokyo, I'm going to see her at some point.
I'm going to run into her. I'm going to give her a message. And then see how that works out, because I know she was in Tottori, but I think she said she was going to be in Tokyo, but I wasn't quite sure. But
our tour of duty is going to take her across the country. She's going to be spent some time in Tottori, then she's in Tokyo, then she's in Yokohama, and so on. So she's going to be moving around for the year.
All right, Wayne. So we'll catch up with you later, Wayne. But we're going to go now to the live feed for the women's 3,000 meter steeplechase heats. Here as Nationwide continues its coverage of the Tokyo 2025 World Championships. I'm Levy, and with me in studio is Juliet Cuthbert Flynn.
That's me.
Yep. We turn over now to the commentary for you to enjoy the steeplechase heats. course, the protagonists, most of the protagonists are through, except for Savannah Sutherland, the NCAA champion, who ran a personal best 52.46 this season, but clearly the long season has taken its toll on her, like it has other NCAA athletes as well. So just to give you a quick rundown, from Heat 1, Femke Ball, the favorite, is through, along with Folorunso, 54.67. From Heat 2, Anna Cockrell, 53.63, and Antoinette Knight from Jamaica, 53.74, is also through. In Heat number 4, Dalala Mohammed, as expected, 53.80. She will retire at the end of the season. Shan Salmon is also through with a season's best 54.21. So that both Jamaicans are through, Juliet, and looking like they might be in the mix for, well, certainly looking to do well in the semifinals and get to the finals, where I believe, based on what we've seen, with especially with Savannah Sutherland out, at least one of the Jamaicans could end up on the podium when the finals are run.
Yes.
Because Sutherland was one of the big names coming in.
Right, and I think they ran well within themselves and their races. Cockrell, of course, we know that she looked good, and Femke Ball looked awesome. But I suspect that, the two Jamaicans there's a strong possibility for either of them to end up with the bronze medal.
Mm-hmm. Of course, tomorrow morning, there's a lot of activity tomorrow morning where a lot of Jamaicans are going to be involved. I'm just trying to pull up the timetable here to let people know what to expect tomorrow morning, where action starts at 5:35 a.m. with the men's 400-meter hurdles. As you know, Jamaica has 3 participants, Asini Wilson, Malik James King, and Rashawn Clark. In heat number 1, Malik James King goes in heat number 1. And in heat number 2, where is this? Heat number 2 will feature, this thing is glitching. So Malik James King in heat number 1. And World Athletics needs to work on this side because it gives all kind of issues. Heat number 3 will feature Asini Wilson, and Rashawn Clark will go in heat number 4 tomorrow morning. Those events start at 5:35 a.m. At 5:40 a.m., the men's long jump qualification, which will feature Jamaica's Nikolai Williams and why is this thing jumping around in place? But your 3 Jamaicans should be involved in this event. The information, the site is malfunctioning or misfiring right now. But the long jumpers, Kira McLeod and Tajay Gale and Nikolai Williams will participate in that event tomorrow morning. That comes up at 5:40 a.m. The men's 110-meter hurdles is also tomorrow morning. That comes up at 6:23 a.m. tomorrow morning. And that will have Tyler Mason and Orlando Bennett featuring for the Jamaicans. Of course, the on paper, certainly the best Jamaican this year is out with after suffering an injury at the national championships and requiring surgery to repair a damaged Achilles tendon. So the Jamaicans will be represented tomorrow morning in the 110 hurdles, Tyler Mason and of course Orlando Bennett among those competing tomorrow morning. That comes up at 6:23 a.m. The women's 100-meter hurdles semi-finals come up tomorrow. If you remember, there will be Danielle Williams, Akira Nugent, and Amoy Brown will contest that. That comes up at 7:06 a.m. The men's 1,500 meters semi-finals, it starts at 7:30 as well. And the day will conclude with the women's 100-meter hurdles final. We're hopeful that the Jamaicans will advance to the final, so there will be some interest there. But Akira Nugent, Daniel Williams, and Amai Brown will be trying their best to get into that final tomorrow morning our time, which is the evening session in Tokyo.
Right.
So there is a lot to look forward to tomorrow. I hope that they will be able to build upon what happened today in terms of 3 medals. 1 gold, 2 silver medals. A good start to the medal haul for Jamaica. Will we see more medals tomorrow? We'll find out when you join us at approximately 5:35 a.m. tomorrow morning for a continuation of nationwide coverage of the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo, Japan. So on behalf of Juliet Cuthbert and of course production team, this is Dayton Levy saying have a good night, sleep well, but wake up early to catch us and catch the latest action here on Nationwide Radio.
Good night.
You've just heard Nationwide's live coverage of the 2025 World Championships in Tokyo, Japan.